Good morning. It's 3:26 a.m. It's the 22nd of November. It just kind of whooshed by, and there we go. Ding. This is a thinking video. Thoughts, a lot of thoughts going through my head. I've got to make some money, and so I've been refurbishing some dolls and collecting some very rare dolls that I can resell. And I've been having people who know how to sew much better than I do doll clothes for the dolls. And then, of course, they get credit on that as far as getting their name out. One of my sisters, Tamara, she is she's an artist. She's one of the best photographers I do know. And I know a lot of photographers, and they're all damn good. But she is a rare bird. She has so many books of photographs of every concert she went to, and her whole life has been journalized that way through photography, and the places that she has done or been through her scrapbooks. She's done a lot, a whole lot. Her career in journalism was cut short by grand mal seizures back in 1986. She was in college, and the seizures became dramatically worse and continued on. That little thing keeps on hanging on, and someday, hopefully, there'll be a cure for her. The surgeries didn't work. I think about her often because of her gift, and I'm hoping that when I open the store on either Etsy or eBay or something like that, that, she'll send me some cards to sell individually. Of course, she'll get all of the profit. Her cards are her cards. She's darn earned her degree in that. So anyway, I was discussing with her, well, we could sell them anywhere from $4.95 a piece to $6, and we do them individually. Because she hand does these cards. It'll take her sometimes up to 4 hours. And that's not including material. I mean, she'll take a photo and she'll put it on a card, and the whole thing just changes. It's quite lovely. Very lovely. I think she'd be good at that. I don't know how many of you know, and this is being broadcast to many areas, that I recently lost my father. He was a good he was a good father. He was an interesting father. He was a character. And my brother's eulogy, which I will not put up, was personified who Daddy was. I thank Sam for that. As people who know me, I've had a hard life. I was not raised by my father. My father, on his last wife, which was the gold, married for 35 years and had 3 children. And of course, I'm 22 years their senior. So, but they had aunts and uncles that are a little bit older than them as well, by about 2 or 3 years. So it became very amusing in many cases. The age difference versus the intelligence difference. They're far more intelligent than I am. especially Susan. She scares me. She's actually a kick. She is so fun to be around. I have a little niece and nephew by my sister, and I have a little niece by my brother, and my other brother has 3 years and 4 children. Oh, please forgive me, Andy. And a beautiful wife who is in forensic science and has a year to go for her master's. That one's sharp. I'm thinking about all these things. I'm thinking about the sisters that I had after I was born that I didn't know about, and they didn't know about me. And I think about them. Think about children later that came along. My father was he was the pre-marriage years, as my brother Sam so put it, and hysterical. It was the best eulogy I'd ever heard. My father was who he was, and people loved him for that. Really loved him. There were so many people at his funeral, at the mortuary. It was standing room only. I don't see much of that anymore. Actually, I don't even see funerals being bothered with anymore. People tell me there's no need. I don't want anybody to remember me. What they forget is that a funeral is not necessarily for them, but is actually for the people who are left behind, who need to grieve, who need to express. By just removing your body and having it cremated and then throw your ashes to the wind. I don't know. It's kind of damn selfish. You're dead. What should it matter if your family has a memorial service? What harm is it going to do you? Kind of silly, huh? I think it is anyway. I think it's mean-spirited, cold. I just know there's going to be funerals that I won't be allowed to go to because of huge differences in our belief systems. And I'm not talking religious. There'll be births that I won't be notified of and deaths that I won't be notified about. It hurts. Do I deserve it? In 2004, I was not well again, and I did an email to 2 sisters and my bio mother, and none of it was a shining star on any of them, but the attack was mostly on my mother, which she denies any of it ever took place, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I know the truth. She knows the truth. I know she does. She says she has amnesia and doesn't know, yet she's able to deny what happened. I find it kind of funny. But I love her. She is my mom. And damn it, I can talk about my mom, but you can't. She's my mom. You know? She didn't have to love me. She didn't have to like me. She didn't have to want me. That's the beauty of choice. You don't have to do anything. You accept what happens later, though, from your choices. And know that the choices were probably not wise. We still did them. As somebody who's come from an interesting family, a very, very interesting family, and someone has to document which family tree I'm talking about, because my family tree is not truly my family tree. I mean, I have my father over here, my mother over here, and my grandparents who raised me. Okay. And I had a cousin who was raised with me who was more like a brother, but I had biological brother and sisters with my biological mother who I dearly loved, who now only one will talk to me. That's loyalty, and I think that's good. You know, I apologize to her. I'll apologize to my other sister, but I can't apologize to my mother about the issues. I apologize for upsetting her, and I did not want to upset her. I was being very confrontational, so I guess I did want to upset her. What am I saying? That's a stupid thing to say, isn't it? Everyone had the knowledge and the know, and nobody did anything about it. And I warn some parents, it's best not for your kids to know about your life. Seriously. It's not their business. Because sometimes, I know this for a fact, a child will imprint and mimic your life if there's a little bit of some mental health issues. It's not a good thing. It's a sad and horrible thing. And if I had to go back, I never would have talked about any member of my family in front of my children, because that was wrong. What's also wrong is the fact that because you're mad at a family member, you never withhold grandchildren or nieces or nephews. They didn't do anything wrong. Be mad at the person and stick to the subject, but don't let the subject go beyond you and bleed into others' lives. That's how I was raised. That's what I saw. And just throwing away a child for that family was quite easy. You just forgot about it. Christmas, your birthdays. It's like you didn't exist. The shunning was just, and still goes on, is just remarkably selfish. And of course, now most of the players of that game are gone. They've gone on, and the only players left are just a few. And one chooses to not have such things as me in her life. Yeah, I hear you. The one that worked hard, did go to school. Of course, tomorrow went to school. My health is bad. Got on my mother's nerves. Everything about me gets on my mother's nerves. You look like your father. Sorry. My father was a really handsome man, by the way. And my children, their father, the two oldest ones, their father was this big, sweet guy, you know. And so my kids are very blonde, two oldest ones. And then the youngest one, his father I married, is Irish, and he looks Irish. It's just adorable. Yeah. I look at all three of those people, and I see individuals. They are definitely individuals. That nobody could ever accuse my children of being drones. Ever. Cloned people. They're not. They're the most individual people I know of. They're all different from night to day. I have night, I have noon, and I have morning. And I'm not kidding you. They were everything I had. I really loved them. But I had a problem with holidays. And I loved the holidays, but it had to be perfect because my mother said so. My grandmother said so, actually. I would break my ass getting Thanksgiving to be perfect, all the meantime just yelling and screaming at the kids. Do this, do that, help, no, leave me alone. I mean, and I did the same at Christmas. Everything had to be perfect. Well, I was trying to make everything perfect for whoever was coming over to join my family in Christmas dinner or Christmas Eve or New Year's. I was mistreating my own people in my home. There's no excuse for it, really. There's not. I had the first one when I was 14. I was a kid. And I had the second one by the time I was 17. I was a kid. And I had my last one before I was 21. And I look at this history and everything that's going through my head. People going, and it happened so fast. And it feels like only yesterday I was playing with my Barbie dolls in my grandmother's house, And all other crap starts coming up. Barbie dolls are over here, and I'm playing and having a really good Christmas. And over here it's, but my sisters and my brother had better Christmases. They had all the kittles, and I didn't. Now, mind you, I'm 56 years old. Why am I thinking about kittles? Well, I do dolls and all that. But why? Why don't I just let it die and just go away? Not everybody had a big Christmas. Not everybody had a great childhood. And I'm not the only one that's bitched about their childhood. So I'm sure there's thousands of books out there and diaries and journals and videos and blogs about how bad their families are. I was one. I remember it quite well. And will be sorry till the day I die about that log. It was removed by me. It's not worth it. It's, if you can't say to a person what needs to be said at the time of something going on, they're not going to believe you, or they will believe you. It's choice. And none of us can make anybody believe anything. Who are we to I'm not going to commit my life to convincing others this happened to me. It happened to me. Yeah, it did. One of my kids imprinted it, and because of my mouth talking about it all the time. When I was younger, much younger, real young, early 20s, and I'm almost 60 now. Stop and you think to yourself, my God, what did I do? Did I know better? I don't know. Did I know better? My family taught us all that we had to be self-sufficient. it was a little bit of a rough go for all of my siblings and me because of the way they went about it. But they were taught to go about it that way, and they had a rough go of it. They bounced back home several times. I stayed at my biological mother's home for a month. One time I was in a dire straits, and some bad things had happened, and so I was staying at her house until I found another job and a place to live. And she gave me exactly 4 weeks to do it in. She was being kind, and I got on the stick, got a job right away. In the meantime, she was running me back and forth to counseling. It is amazing what we do to ourselves and how we think of ourselves or look at ourselves because of something that happened 20, 30, 40 years ago. And we spend the rest of our lives trying to reconstruct our lives and figure out why these things happened. And is it worth it? We're wasting time, How many of you still remember the 2nd grade? And you're in your 60s. It's because it feels like yesterday. When you get down to it, if you go by the days that we live, some are far shorter than others, and some are very long. When you really start looking at that, it's days. You have days to live. Literally, days. 1,000, 40,000, 535,000. That's really old. How many days? Do your math. How many days old are you? Not years, but days. That'll get you going. It'll get you walking. It'll get you going to the doctors like you're supposed to. It'll get you climbing mountains again. It'll get you hiking and camping, horseback riding. It'll get you where you need to be in your own reality that kind of combines with everybody else's. And somewhere in there, we learn to communicate, to talk. So is Christmas hard? Holidays in general, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, hard on you? It is now hard on me. I miss my kids. I miss old families. Things change in those days. It's like a book that we draw on, and if you run the pages really fast, the characters move. We've all had books like that. Our lives are the same way. Anyway, just thinking, just talking. Who are we? Tell me and then I'll tell you. I'll give you an idea of who I am. We're people. We're really people. Next vid will probably be later on in the day, and that will be probably about the Syrian heartbreak and what to do. There are now 37 states, I believe, in the United States that have decided to not allow them in for refuge. I am sorry to those people. Ah, what a tangled web we weave.